Hello everyone. Good evening. Good evening everybody. You're very welcome along to our February virtual and augmented reality meetup. It's really great to see such a big crowd here tonight again and so many new faces, so you're all very, very welcome. So our first speaker tonight, first I'll just tell you the usual format is what we're going to have tonight. So we start off with a few speakers. We have 3 speakers tonight, and then after that we'll go into our demo section. And we're very grateful again to all the people who loaded a lot of heavy equipment across the city at rush hour to show us some really wonderful gadgets and devices tonight. We've got a number of devices here. It's the first time that we've seen them here. Things like the Meta 2, Super 360 camera. So really great stuff to see later on. That's in the second half of the event. But first up tonight, we're going to have our speakers. And our very first is actually Nikki Lennon. So, you know, most of you have been coming along for the last year will be well familiar with the story of Wardux. And Nikki is the CEO and founder of Wardux. And it's been great. It's been a pleasure really to observe the evolution of Wardux as a company and the product that they have. Their VR games company, their product is Sneaky Bears. That's their first game. And it's just been really a pleasure to see the evolution of that and to see the evolution of Wardux as a company. You know, it's really great that in Ireland now we have a few great startups in this sector, and really the culmination of that. And I know it's only a milestone. It's a great milestone for Nikki last year. Towards the end of the year, when they got funding, venture capital funding, which was north of $1 million. Nikki, you can give us the exact figure. So it's it's well done to them on that. So please give a warm welcome to Nikki Lennon.
Hi everyone. So as James said, my name is Nikki Lennon. So I just did put together a few slides on how to survive in the VR AR industry. James said he thought it would be something of interest to everyone. I think a lot of the talks we have here are more on the technical side of things, or artistic side of things, or like project focused, and we haven't really done something broad on the kind of commercial side of the industry. So I'll kind of relate it to our business on a whole. So the Wardux story. We were founded in 2013. We started building Facebook and mobile games. So my background was I worked in Facebook for 5 years. And we realized that industry was quite crowded. So I don't know if any of you have built for the mobile space, but there's over 1 million apps on each of the stores. You're competing with a lot of similar type developers, and user acquisition costs are getting higher and higher every day. So it's very hard to make, in our industry, a casual game work in that space. But we did create a very good game, and it had 600,000 downloads. But we decided to look at other options, and so we came across VR. We were looking at it, and we realised that it was a massive opportunity. So we pivoted into VR in 2015. We have released 3 different titles across mobile, desktop, and console VR to date. And we've also done some white label work and some contract work also. So I'll just talk to you a little bit about all of those things. So first of all, I'll talk to you about our projects. I think a lot of people in the room have tried Sneaky Bears, which we demo, and we can demo as well this evening. Our team is just over here. So Sneaky Bears, we launched on mobile VR in November 2016. And it actually reached number 27 in the top selling category on that platform, so on the Samsung VR platform. And then we kind of decided to build it out further. So we actually invested in building it out for PC and console VR, so the PlayStation VR, Oculus Rift and HTC Vive. And we launched that in August 2017, and it's actually one of the top rated games on the Oculus platform. We then decided to build a roller coaster around our Sneaky Bears factory on mobile VR, and that was actually that went to number 2 in the top selling on the Samsung Gear VR platform. So Minecraft was number 1, and that game was number 2. And we were absolutely delighted with that, because that's obviously like being number 2 to Beyonce. We feel like it's a number 1 category slot, so we were very excited about that. So I'm just going to show you a little video to show you what Sneaky Bears is like, just in case you haven't played it yet. So let me please go on the display. No, okay, hold on.
Friends, let's make this toy factory great again. You think I'm scared of one measly human, and an ugly one at that?
Also, 20 bears ago, I actually thought you might survive this.
Which called bear with no teeth. A gummy bear. Why do pandas like our movies face in black and white? Isn't it true? You really think you can stop me? You're delusional. You be dead soon.
So that's Evil Frank. He's going to take over the world. And that's our game, Sneaky Bears. So after that, we decided we would invest in building a PlayStation VR, Oculus Rift and HTC Vive game. And we decided to build a roller coaster called Roller Coaster Legends. I'll go into why we built for those platforms in a second. But that game launched on December 21st last year, so in 2017. And it's actually the number 3 best-selling on the PlayStation VR at the moment in the EU, and number 10 in the US. So we were actually delighted with that result, obviously. And I'll just show you a little clip of that as well, just so you can see what that is. Okay, so that gives you a little bit of context on what we are building in the VR space. And I'll just talk to you a little bit about why we chose the platforms that we chose and kind of the growth in the VR industry. And actually, it was only when I started doing this presentation that I realized a few things. We initially built for mobile VR, but then we found that actually building for PlayStation VR, Oculus Rift and HTC Vive, we saw a lot more scale and engagement on those platforms. So if you see here, the Samsung Gear VR, this is the 2016 stat for Samsung Gear VR, and as you can see, it's actually reduced. So the actual shipments have gone down for mobile VR. If you see here, PlayStation VR, Oculus Rift have increased, and then the HTC Vive has decreased. So we're actually seeing like that people are moving towards the kind of PC and console VR type equipment. Now, that could all change very soon, because I don't know if you're aware, but Oculus and the HTC Vive are bringing out a very portable kit that doesn't have, you don't have to put a phone into the actual device. It's an all-in-one device that you put on your head. And it'll be for like a $200 price point, so it's a very, very low price point in terms of virtual reality. And the Oculus Go comes out in April of this year, and the HTC Vive Focus, I'm actually not sure what the release date on that is, but it's been released in China, so I think it will be pretty soon. So what we're seeing growth, but the platform that wins the kind of race hasn't really been decided yet. And I still think that's still to come, because the devices are still quite early on, and they're finding themselves at this point still. But we are seeing a strong demand for VR and a large amount of interest in the area. So for us, like as I said, we really saw a lot of engagement on the Sony PlayStation platform, and that was actually a very strong platform for us to build on in the games industry. But for people building kind of more, commercial products or medical products, the Oculus and the HTC Vive are very, very strong devices also, and the quality of the experience is very, very good. So if you're kind of thinking and you're starting out a VR or AR business, and we build augmented reality as well, you really need to kind of figure out at this point, as VR is growing, how best to make yourself survive, basically. Really what I would suggest is to get your content on every platform. So I would try and get your content. Obviously, there is a distinction between mobile VR and desktop and console VR. But if you can, edit that content to get it on both mobile VR and desktop and console VR, do that. And so for us, we have our content on all of these different platforms, and we have all of these different revenue streams. So that is actually very important at this point in the kind of VR journey. We also did some contract work and some white label apps, which I would highly recommend doing as well if you're a smaller VR or business. Bringing your knowledge and expertise into the industry here is very helpful for organisations looking for this type of work. And then obviously investment is very important. So there's kind of a couple of ways to go for smaller VR and AR startups. I would recommend talking to EI, Enterprise Ireland. They do a lot of kind of funding support. They're very interested in this industry, and they are extremely helpful, not just on the funding side, but then also in terms of advice and connections. And then obviously there's private investors and VCs, and I would strongly recommend talking to people, on that side of things as well, because it's a growing sector. It's definitely scaling a lot more in the last year or so, and it's definitely of interest to them. The last point I have is the team. Obviously, having a very, very strong team is extremely important. I'm not just saying that because they're staring at me over there, but it is really, really important. We did a massive pivot in the middle of our business, and I think that will happen a lot with the VR and AR industry. Things are changing, things are still figuring themselves out. So having a very strong team who can, be very skilled on art and animation, audio, development, everything that comes into creating one of these very, very immersive experiences, that is extremely important in order to succeed. And that's it. I'm happy to take questions.
Yeah, sure. So we've got time for a couple of questions, folks. Anyone?
Hi everyone. I'm just curious to know, what was your background before launching your company in the video game industry, in VR? Like, did you work in the game before? Or like...
Yeah. So I worked in Facebook as part of the games team. So I was a founding member of the games team there, and I worked there for almost 5 years. So I was kind of working with the CEOs and CMOs of the top gaming businesses in EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Yeah, I am a gamer. I mean, we play a lot of VR games now in the office, so we're very much kind of VR focused in terms of market research. And then obviously there's some mobile games that I enjoy, like Candy Crush Saga.
You listed up a lot of revenue streams there, and platforms and things. Which ones worked well for you, and which ones were fun or painful, or like any general experiences on?
Yeah. So I really I feel that mobile VR, because people have a mobile phone and then they're slotting it into another hardware device, they don't understand that that then becomes a different hardware device. So the way people charge for mobile VR is premium. So you charge for the app. The way people charge for normal mobile apps is in-app purchases. And so for us, I feel like people can't make that distinction, and they weren't willing to invest in content. And I think that's where the Oculus Go and the HTC Focus will make a difference, because people will recognize it as a separate hardware device, and they'll be willing to invest in the content. You can't do in-app advertising well on VR at the moment. I don't think you ever will, really, because you take people out of the experience. And in-app purchases, you're just taking them out of the experience again. So it needs to be premium right now, unless someone figures something else out. Yeah.
No one else?
Just to follow up on the question on advertising thing, have you experienced any experience trying to do in advertising with VR?
We haven't done it yet. I think the platforms are kind of pushing people away from it right now, just because they don't want people to have a bad experience on VR. But I know there is companies doing kind of immersive advertising, which like you'll see a billboard, or you know, you will see a sign on the street if you're on the street, or whatever that might be, or a Coca-Cola can. But it's a difficult one. You know, I'm kind of, you know, definitely when it evolves, I think it will be very, very productive.
Yeah, Unity announced that, was it 6 or 8 months ago, that they were going to push the ability to advertise into platform.
Into Unity.
Unity themselves.
Oh yeah, they might be. So the problem with it was, so Oculus, and I haven't spoken to them about this in a while, but about 6 months ago, Oculus and Sony did not want ads within their platform, so within their stores, because it's like Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg didn't want ads on Facebook for the first 7 years. There was no ads on Facebook for the first 7 years, because he didn't want people to not enjoy the experience. So he just got us all hooked, and then he showed us loads of ads. And I think that's what the VR guys will do too. Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much. Can you bring up the last question? Yeah. So, Alex, you're on. Alex Gibson. Where's he going? There he is. Alex. So, Alex is a bit of a surprise to you. Most of you will know that Alex has been running AR VR Innovate, formerly AR Marketing Conference, one of the longest running and best conferences in the country for anyone that's interested in AR and VR. And coming up very shortly, Alex will give you all the details in a moment, but he has a great surprise tonight. He's giving away 5 tickets, so thanks very much.
Yeah, delighted to give away some tickets to the conference this year. It's the 5th year, which makes it an absolute veteran in the world of AR and VR, I think. So we've been running 5 years. We're back in the RDS this year, also in Hall 3 this year. as well as the concert hall and hall 2. So lots of opportunity for people to attend and experience AR and VR. This year we have a really interesting international lineup of speakers which we'll be releasing over the next couple of weeks. I can probably give you a little bit of a teaser this evening. We have Jan Fluger, who's the global head of augmented and virtual reality development for Audi. He's going to be talking about how Audi have used AR and VR in their strategy, both in terms of engineering solutions on productivity and training, but also how Audi have been able to use it as part of the customer experience in their showrooms rolled out across Europe. So I think that should be interesting. Dave Lorenzini is back in Dublin. Some of you were at the early conferences, may remember. Dave is a real veteran in the industry. He's coming in from Hollywood. He is somebody who's a serial entrepreneur in the business. He founded Keyhole, which was in turn acquired by Google and became what we now know as Google Earth. He subsequently went on to form Glassware Foundry, and now he's staking his professional reputation on what's known as Web AR, which is the sort of next frontier in terms of augmented reality. So he has a company called UAR. So he'll be there. We'll also have an expanded startup zone. We're going to have an AR VR only pitch competition, which I can tell you a little bit more in the next number of while. We've got delegations coming in for that from places as far afield as Northern Ireland, but also Russian Federation, for example, in continental Europe. And we want Irish startups as well to be part of that process. So get in touch with us. But now, as James said, we've got 5 tickets to give away. And what we thought we might do would be just to use the list of people who have registered this evening. Shall we do the late policy, which is if you're not here, you don't get the ticket?
Yeah.
Do people feel that would be okay? Yeah? So if you're not here, you don't get the ticket. Okay. So I'm going to ask somebody to be my assistant to draw and show total impartiality. Marion is going to do the draw. And I'm going to use a very sophisticated registration system to keep a note of who the winners are. So come up to me and just give me your details. Okay, so, Marion, take a draw. Okay, number 90. Number 90. Oh, this is going to take all evening now. We've got George Boda. You're not in, you're not winning. Okay. He's not here. Keep going. Keep going, Marion. The last post, by the way, is at 11:30. Okay, 120. 120. Dara Burke. Okay, Dara, come on up. I get to do it on Dara. 169. 169. Alan Wickstead. Have I pronounced that correct? He's here too. That's brilliant. Well done, Alan. Come on. I think it's managed to fair to the bottom. You're just picking them all from the top, and I know people get very agitated about this, so go right down the bottom there. I did mix them up well beforehand, I promise. But okay, number 222. Andrea Montenau. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Ah, well done, Andrea. This is going too well. This is going too well. Okay. Number 202. 202. Carl Jufroy? Carl?
No.
Sorry, oh God. Terry Madigan. Terry is not here. Is he here? Where's Terry? Come on, Terry, up here. Come on, Terry. How are you? Good. And the last one. 134. 134, where are we? Catherine Whelan. Catherine Whelan, is she here? Oh, right. So thank you very much. With James' agreement, we'll obviously send you out more details in relation to the event, and there will be a discount for 3Dcamp members. You'll hear all about it in due course. So thanks very much for the stage, James. Thanks, Nita.
So, thanks again to Alex for that. So next up, folks, tonight, our second speakers, we've got Celine, Camille, and John. Camille is the General Manager of Virtual Reality Ireland, and she's a VR producer at Silver Branch. And she also runs the VR Community Ireland. It's another great meetup group for VR. And Celine is the Managing Director at Adaptus Training, and she's a business psychologist. And they're joined tonight on stage by John Mulreed, who is the Learning and Development Manager at FBD Insurance. So together they've recently launched a custom-created VR training experience called Immersive Sales Star for FBD Insurance. So the product aims to enable trainees who are about to move from the safe training environment to a busy call center floor to sit in the perspective of an expert sales advisor's call. So please welcome all of them on stage.
Thank you, James. I think you've said it all there. So our job is done, except for Camille. Thank you so much to James for inviting us to speak. I think it's nice to get the opportunity to come and present. I guess we've brought something into business. So we brought VR into business, and this is, I guess, a case study which may be of interest to some of you. It's not as much fun as roller coasters and shooting teddy bears, but it does have a good purpose. So I just wanted you to think first of all about embodiment. And this is one of the first things that attracted me to virtual reality. Embodiment is how we are in the world, how we perceive, how we feel, how we interact, how we take action within our experience. And it's one of the things that in the work that I do, which is as a business psychologist in learning and development, is trying to help people to see things from other people's perspectives. And in order to be able to see things from other people's perspectives, you have to have a huge amount of empathy. And most of us have natural empathy. Not all of us, but most of us have natural empathy. And even though we are quite empathic as human beings, we are still blocked from seeing things from somebody else's perspective by our own perspective. And so virtual reality is really interesting for me because it allows us to immerse ourselves in somebody else's perspective in a way that I hadn't experienced before. So really, when Camille one day rang me really excited to tell me about an experience she had just had. And as soon as I heard about this, I thought, wow, this is the answer. This is the key to what I've been looking to develop, to help people see things from other people's perspectives, whether that's to actually manage people better, whether it's to improve relationships in life and in companies, whether it is to be able to see something from somebody else's perspective so that you can learn to do your job in a potentially a different way. And so tonight, John Mulreed, who is the Learning and Development Manager in FBD, Camille, who is the producer of this particular piece, and myself as business psychologist and CEO of Adaptus are here to tell you about this virtual reality training experience, which, as James said, is called the Immersive Sales Star. And we just want to take you through a couple of things. First of all, John is going to tell you about the problem that they had in FBD, the challenges that they had, and that made them consider virtual reality as being something useful. And then Camille is going to take you through the solution, and then I'm going to take you through how we're measuring the impact of this piece. And we're also joined this evening by our two stars of the Immersive Sales Star, Regina Heffernan and Alan Windsor, and also by our cameraman, Jack Morrow, who's over here. So after the presentations, if you want to come and talk more with any of us and you want to experience it, please just find any of us. So I'm going to pass you over to John to tell you a little bit about the problem and the challenges.
Thanks very much, Celine. Thanks for inviting us along tonight. It's
the last thing you expected to hear was insurance at one of these meetups, but I'll only spend a few seconds on that. So, briefly, just about my own background, so I won't spend long on this. My background originally is in insurance, 7 years, and then from there I moved in to learning and development. So I've been in that space for about 11 years now. So some of the key areas that we work in, management training, team building, big e-learning agenda, and then we're also have a keen interest in innovation. So that's just a bit about me. So just about FBD, just to provide some context, we are a general insurance company in Ireland. We have 33 offices nationwide. We have over 500,000 loyal and satisfied customers, I'm told by our salespeople. And then in terms of employees, we have 900 employees that are scattered around the country as well. So our learning and development team and our trainers on the ground support those employees. In terms of breakdown, generational breakdown, over half the population are millennials. So we have to consider that when we develop any new training intervention to solve some of their issues. Okay. So the problem, that's what I'm going to talk to you about. We know that all the new employees go through a comprehensive induction program, and Alan and Regina are the trainers on that program. We know that when they complete the program, they have the knowledge because we assess them on that, and we also get feedback from them in terms of the overall program and how they're satisfied with it. So what happened then was that they would go onto the sales floor, and the actual environment itself would pose problems for them. And we really found it difficult to find out why there was a gap between the training environment and then the real sales environment as well. So that's where the problem was. And we narrowed it down to a confidence thing. So they had all the necessary knowledge and skills, but when they actually went into this real life environment, they found it very difficult to piece together all the different pieces of training and actually perform their duties. So some of the analysis piece was around looking at their performance. We saw that there was problems with results, but also our analysis was based around customer feedback as well from the trainees. So that brought us through to the solution phase. Historically, what we did in these situations was we would bring these people back in, we'd provide one-to-one coaching and mentoring, and this would solve the problem. But we are now, in the last 2 years, we've become a leaner organisation, so we don't have the capacity to do that on a regular basis. So we need to come up with, a new solution to an old problem that we had, and that's where, I suppose, virtual reality came into it. So the solution itself focuses on new employees that come into FBD and transition from induction onto the sales floor, but also we're using it to upskill people that are actually in the job quite a while and having difficulties with their sales. So I'm going to hand you over to Camille now. She's going to talk about the actual solution itself. Thank you.
Thanks, John. So the solution, basically how the solution started was looking at the existing practice. So what does a sales call in FBD sound like? And we analysed that, and basically we took an authentic, and you'll hear this word mentioned a few times in the next few minutes, because authenticity in the creation of this VR project was really, really key. So we took a real sales call off the system, and then we worked with Regina, Alan and John to make sure it represented best practice from a sales perspective and that it was hitting all of the correct messaging that was required. Even things like customer rapport, which could be seen as a soft skill, that was really key that was in there. So we built in a bit of banter, and Regina and Alan were really key at that. So working with a real sales call, what we did was we looked all around Mullingar to find a good audio studio. We didn't find one. So the solution came to their office. So basically what happened on the production day was we had this defined script in advance that was signed off by all necessary stakeholders. We then brought a studio, an audio recording studio set up to the FBD office in Mullingar. The first thing we did on the production day was we recorded Alan and Regina were playing the sales star, somebody who absolutely owns what they do and is very confident at doing it. And then Alan kindly stepped into the customer's perspective and was reading the script for the customer. So we recorded the conversation. It's actually a 16-minute long call, which is a standard length for a sales call in FBD. And then that became our playback for our video experience. So we started with the audio recording. Once we were happy that we had that in the can, we went upstairs and we worked on the shoot. So the shoot, as mentioned, Jack Barrow was our DOP for that. So we worked with a 16 GoPro rig, which is stereoscopic, so basically left and right eye. And we filmed in the actual call centre environment on a working day. So on Saturday in FBD Insurance, there is a sales team there present. So we didn't have to pay any extras. We were working with the real staff in the real environment, which was really key for that level of authenticity, because what we want to recreate is the trainee sitting in the call centre environment with the real audio, so all the atmospherical distractions that are in a call centre environment. And so how we captured that was we put many Zoom recorders all around the FBD office, and we captured sounds which we were able to mix in our 360 spatial audio mix. So getting those atmospherical elements from the real working environment was really key. You know, some people who are on the calls are quite loud, and we wanted to have all of that in there. So we were working with real staff, Regina and Alan, and real background in the real environment. An interesting takeaway from us from this was that the first iteration we showed to John was stereoscopic, and his initial reaction was like, whoa, which is really interesting. So that's something we'll be looking at next time. So for the rollout, we actually went with a monoscopic version of the video. And so here's a couple of images from the shoot. We asked Regina, could we possibly take off her head for the shoot and put the camera rig there. She wasn't really up for that. We're still working on it, maybe the next round. So the camera was carefully rigged just above her head, and then in post-production, basically, we comped in an extra static image so that when you look down, it feels as if you were in Regina's body at this desk. And that's pretty much it, without going into major detail.
And so with learning and development, most of, when it comes to learning and development these days, most organizations need to prove return on investment. So this was a really big, important part of this piece. And so once we had the piece ready, we had to move into actually delivering it, using it with, as John mentioned, a group of new trainees and a group of people who haven't been performing very well, had to have them experience it a few times and see if it could make a difference. And so what we've been doing is, before and after they experience the immersive sales star, they go through tests to test their confidence, to test whether they're things that, if you're not in learning and development, they're probably really boring to you. So we have all groups were tested, each individual is tested on these measures before and after, and in between they experience the immersive sales star 3 to 4 times. So Regina and Alan have been rolling that out with staff. And we only just started really in January, so we haven't been able to analyse it statistically yet. However, we do have some good qualitative feedback so far. So this is just a piece from Alan. He said one of the girls who has completed Immersive Sales Star 3 times feels that it has placed her in an seller's shoes. She's been flying since and reaching her sales targets, new sales and renewals, on a daily basis. So already we're seeing that this is making a difference. David Skelly, who's head of consumer at FBD, also is noticing that people are saying it's useful to reinforce scenarios and experiences of how these calls should be, rather than something else. And then also a statement from Regina, where she noticed that one of the guys who had just finished his training, when he went to do his mock calls, did it brilliantly. And she said, wow, well done. And he said, hey, I've been watching the Immersive Sales Star. So, so we can see that this is having an impact. We won't know until Regina and Alan have taken the groups through another few groups through this, how impactful it is. We're measuring whether they're reaching their targets, their compliance scores, etc. So the next couple of months is going to be really interesting to see what kind of impact this has, because to our knowledge, we don't think anyone on Ireland yet has done something like this. So it's really exciting for us to see what this can bring to learning and development in organisations. Is there anything we've missed? No. Okay, so thank you. We'd love to talk to you more. If you want to experience immersive sales star, please come talk to us. We'll put the headset on. And if any of you are working in learning development, you'd like to think about how this applies to your case, please do let us know. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. So we'll just take two questions maybe. Has anybody got questions? So over here.
Yeah, could I just ask one question? Is it inbound calls or are they outbound? Is it kind of selling or upselling?
Inbound calls.
All inbound.
Yeah, new business calls, yeah.
Anybody else?
That's an easy one.
Okay, so the guys are staying around anyway, so if anybody has questions, please grab them later on. So thanks very much, guys. I'm glad that Regina got to keep her head. Are you doing a draw, Doug? Yeah. So Camille is doing a surprise draw for us as well tonight. She's an organizer of a very interesting event as well, which is happening next week. 24th. I'll let you tell us.
Thanks. Slightly changing hats here, but all roads lead to Fjord. So myself, Sabina and Terry from Virtual Reality Ireland are producing a really amazing event that's part of the ADIF Festival called Immersive Stories. Hands up who knows about immersive stories at ADIF? What? Okay, well, you're all about to know about it, so that's good. I'll feed that back to the ADIF marketing department. Okay, so what is the Immersive Stories Conference? Well, in summary, it is the best in class in virtual reality, augmented reality, and cross-platform storytelling coming to town. So, I spent the last 3 years flying around the world when I could afford it, and going to VR conferences, and honestly, the speakers that we have coming to Dublin on the 24th and 25th are absolutely the best out there. And so it's on the 24th and 25th. It's €95 for the 2-day conference. And some of the speakers we have Curtis Hickman from The Void. So if you don't know what The Void is, you honestly haven't lived. So check it out. And he is a really interesting chap. His background is as a magician and illusionist. And when I heard that today from the curator of the festival, Owen Kinnean, who works in Lucasfilms, it made sense. He's literally using the magic of new technologies with The Void, which is an immersive experience in San Francisco. We've got Colin Slevin from the head of experiences at Oculus Studio, and we have Ian Bowie, who is the lead designer on Star Wars. It's going to be a phenomenal talk. Resh Shidu, who is the queen, she's dubbed the Queen of VR, and so delighted to meet her. She was head of VR in Framestore for many, many years, a real pioneer in the space. She produced Fantastic Beasts VR, won lots of awards for that, and she's now moved from the UK to her own studio in New York. Sol Rogers from Rewind, I'm sure most of you know of the excellent work that Rewind create. He'll be speaking. He's a phenomenal speaker and just a lovely person. Catherine Allen from head of Linear Immersive UK. She produced the Easter Rising voice of a rebel. You might know that piece. And really excitingly, some of you might recall the Immersive Stories Hackathon prize that was awarded by Screen Training Ireland and ADIF. There was a competition, and animation studio King Kong, Niamh Herity and Eva Doyle won €30,000 to make their VR experience, and we will be exhibiting Aurora, the world premiere of this absolutely stunning, I've had a sneak preview, this animated piece will be having its world premiere at this exhibit. And speaking of exhibits, I'm going to pass over to Sabina. She's going to tell you a little bit about the exhibition side of the conference. I've told you about the speakers. We also have 7 star exhibits as part of the Immersive Stories conference.
Thanks, Camille. So a really diverse
set of exhibits happening at the conference. Any Gorillas fans in the audience? Maybe? Okay, so there will be the Gorillas AR and VR experiences for humans, which you'll be able to try out. We've also got, in terms of the music genre, we've got a very special experience from Bjork, where you can basically step into one of Bjork's music videos, Not Get, which is a pretty phenomenal experience. If you can see the YouTube version of it, you'll be able to step into this using HTC Vive. And we've also got a beautiful animated piece called Wolves in Walls, which for anyone with kids or anyone who likes Neil Gaiman, you might recall the title. So it's a beautifully animated piece, loads of interaction in that, which is really interesting in terms of storytelling and pushing the boundaries for interactive storytelling as well. We've got Aurora, which Camille mentioned, which is the bursary-winning piece from Ping Kong. And we've also got a piece from The Guardian, a crime scene where you can become a forensic officer and solve a crime. RTE is showcasing their new platform as well. And I think that might be a lot. Sorry, oh my God, how can I forget? Blade Runner. Yeah, so we've got Blade Runner, probably one of the big pieces as well. So that'll be, you'll be able to step into the Blade Runner universe, again, using the HTC Vive. So a really immersive play time in the Blade Runner universe for anyone who wants to become a Blade Runner or a replicant. I think that's it. Yeah, competition. So if anyone was listening to what I just said, what we'll do is first kind of hands up. So I might get Terry just to have a look down the back of the audience, and Camille maybe to kind of go halfway. So the question is, Wolves and Walls is one of the VR exhibits. What is the name of the author that put this up? Okay, so Terry, Camille, who are we going first? I think it was this guy. This guy over here? Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman, it is indeed. So you want a ticket to the conference. And we are still looking to have a lot of volunteers, but I'd love some VR enthusiasts to work with the Virtual Reality Ireland team at this. So if you are up for volunteering, please talk to myself, Sabina or Terry this evening, and we'll get your details, and then you get to be at the conference, albeit working, but working on super cool stuff. So thanks so much for the time, Dave.
Thanks very much. So, looking for Noreen Curran, please, our next speaker. Are you here, Noreen? You're here. Sorry, that's what I get. Okay, everyone. Apologies for the slight delay there. Our first speaker up for the night is Dr. Noreen Curran. We're very grateful to Noreen for coming up all the way from Cork tonight. Noreen is also, as well as speaking tonight, she is the founder of Cork VR Meetup. And it's a great event in Cork. If you're ever down there, do give a look to see if the Cork VR Meetup is on. So Noreen is a senior researcher in experience insights at Logitech with a user experience gaming focus. So for her PhD, she developed a quantitative measure of immersive response and recognized a set of distinct types of response. She recently wrote a chapter on immersion for the new Wiley Handbook of Human-Computer Interaction and summarizes the research describing the types of immersive response that emerge. So Noreen is going to present for us tonight on immersion and presence in VR and on how it can be measured. So please give a warm welcome to Noreen.
Can you all hear me okay? Thank you very much for inviting me to speak. As James said, I got a chapter published last month about immersion in games, so it's kind of a hot topic at the moment. One of the screens just disappeared. So I guess I'm going to go kind of more into the development side of VR. Kind of a lot of my research and my background is in user experience research, so this is probably going to be particularly useful for people who are actually creating stuff in VR at the moment. And it's something you might be able to shoehorn into your process at some point, but it's something that's probably just good to be aware of to begin with anyway. So, okay, a little bit about me. I know James already gave an intro. My name is Noreen. On Twitter, I'm the Noreen, and you'll see me tweeting a lot about the Cork VR meetup, so you might have spotted that. It's not quite as big as the Dublin meetup, but we're probably about maybe half the size of members at the moment. It's growing. And the other thing that I'll also blame James for is that we had the idea to cobble together an XR map of Ireland. So it's on Google Maps, and again, we've been tweeting about it. We can probably send out some more stuff about it. But we were really interested to see kind of what the map of Ireland would look like with all of the different companies and individual developers on it. And actually, there's quite a lot at the moment. I think we have maybe 45 people on there. So if you're not on there, absolutely jump in and feel free to add yourself. So actually, I'm really interested. I'm not the first psychologist of the night out of the event, which is good. I'm a psychologist, and my PhD is on the psychology of games, basically with a focus on immersion. So I know I have 10-15 minutes to speak here. I can talk about immersion all day. So if anybody wants to talk to me about it afterwards, feel free to shout at me on Twitter or come find me here at the event. What I've been doing for the past 5 years is I've been working at Logitech as an experience insights researcher. I think when a lot of people think of Logitech, the first thing they think of is kind of traditional keyboards and mice, and probably a lot of people have Logitech stuff knocking around their house that they don't really think about it a lot. But in the last few years, we've really made a big effort to become more of a design company, and we've kind of spread out into a lot of different areas. There's a couple of interesting pieces, like a Bluetooth speaker called the Boom that we love. All of us have them, we love them. And that's something that our team worked on previously. But currently we have quite a big team, mostly based in Cork, but there's also a significant group in Switzerland that's completely focused on VR and AR and MR just in general. We've been working on it for about the last 18 months. And in our Cork office, we have, it's a very multidisciplinary team, so we have people working on, obviously I'm doing user research, but we have people working on UX, we have software developers, we have people working on the CMF, like the finishes, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, we have designers, we have a lot of people, so we kind of have the ability to jump into things really quickly and kind of prototype and experiment and learn and keep doing user research. Last November, we just announced the Logitech Bridge Developer Kit, which is basically, there's a lot of kind of virtual desktop applications in VR, and we realized that a lot of people are having trouble kind of actually using their keyboards when they're trying to do productivity work in VR. So people looking through the nose gap or lifting up their HTTP every few minutes to try to type something in. So it's in the developer kit mode at the moment. But basically, it adds a tracker to your particular keyboard, and it brings in your hands on top of it so you can see where your hands are. It also skins the keyboard based on what application you're using, so the particular hotkeys that you might need should be visible to you in VR. That's just a quick give of my hands on the keyboard using the bridge. So I'm actually, obviously I'm not here to talk about the bridge today, but the next Cork VR meetup is going to be probably entirely focused on the bridge, so if anyone is particularly interested and feels like coming down, we're going to be showing demos and people can come and try it out. And that's all I'm going to say on bridge for now. So immersion, right? I think it's already probably been mentioned like 10 times today in the talks. It's something that's like mentioned a lot in terms of whenever people are talking about VR. But actually, it's really interesting when we look back at like the history of games, like way back in the beginning. In the 5th century BC, there's kind of the first mention of someone creating dice games, and it was the historian Herodotus wrote about these guys, the ancient Lydians, who were experiencing a famine, and their solution to the famine was that they would eat one day, and then the next day they would become so engaged in playing dice games that they would forget they were hungry and they wouldn't need to eat. And then the next day that they would eat again, and by doing that they managed to like ride out the famine, and they all survived. So I think it's particularly interesting that even when we talk about games right back at the beginning, we're talking about people becoming so immersed in something that they're kind of forgetting the world around them. And obviously VR is like the pinnacle of this. You know, the potential that we have here for immersion is absolutely huge. So we probably all have an idea of what immersion is, but I said I'd throw in a definition anyway. Immersion is basically a subjective experience. It's something that somebody a response that somebody has to a stimulus. And what it is it's a state of intense involvement in a setting. When we talk about games, you know, when we talk about VR, you might identify with a character or person. It may not be like a fictional character. You might identify with the setting, or you might identify with both. If you're identifying with a character, if you're really immersed, you might be adopting characters' attributes. So you might be feeling really bad if the character feels really bad, or feeling really happy if something good happens to them. If you're really immersed in a setting, which happens a lot in VR, the demands of the setting become your entire attentional focus. And you know, this actually does happen psychologically to people, even if they're reading a book. Sometimes if you're really, really absorbed in something, in a narrative, in a world, it's something that you really do take on board. But obviously with VR, everywhere you look is this new setting, so it's really easy for it to become the attentional focus. And another word that you hear kind of thrown around a lot to do with VR, which is very slightly different, is presence. And presence is actually the subjective experience of actually being in one place or environment, feeling like you're subjectively in a place or environment, even when you're physically situated in another. I think like we've all probably experienced this in VR. You know, you put on the thing, you take off the HMD at the end of an experience, and you're actually kind of surprised that you're back in the real world. You really were somewhere else for a while. You were transported. And immersion is necessary for that experience to occur. So I guess for a lot of people, if you're trying to create a really good experience, you're trying to create it so that it will be immersive. It's one of the big goals that I guess when consumers are thinking about VR, they really do want to be immersed. They want that sense of escapism. They want to be able to experience this. So just to break it down a little bit, when we talk about immersion, there's two bits. There's the system immersion, which is the immersion that's like given to you from the media. So if you're putting on a VR HMD, if you're playing a PC game, it's the actual stimulus. And the part that I'm particularly interested in, and the part that's possible for you to measure, is the immersive response. So the response that the individual has to the media that you're creating, to your experience. And I guess it's interesting, like not everybody has the same capacity to become immersed in things, so you could test 10 people, 5 people might be extremely immersed and the other 5 maybe not so much. And there's a lot of different details there. Again, I can talk about this all day, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but when you're thinking of trying to create something immersive, it's important to get a few different people in and test it. Some people don't believe immersion exists because they can't experience it, but the majority of people can to a greater or lesser extent. To break it down even a little bit more, the immersive response, there's a few different types of immersive response that people can have when they're in virtual reality, right? So there's visceral immersion, which is kind of like the adrenaline-based immersion. You'd be sitting on the edge of your seat, you're feeling like hairs in the back of your neck going off, your heart rate is going faster. It's the kind of thing that you might get from watching an action movie as well a little bit, or maybe a horror movie where someone is going off into the dark. You're like, no, don't go off into the dark, but you really are, you're kind of feeling the party, feeling the adrenaline rushing. On the other side of the scale is vicarious immersion, which is really focused on the character and the stories. So you're really immersed in how the character is feeling, how they're faring, what their story is. You really want to know what happens next. You really want to turn the next page. You really want to play the next level, not because you want to get a higher score, but because you really are involved in this and you really care. And then the one in the middle is the group immersion. Again, like if you're not creating a multiplayer experience, you're not going for group immersion, but if you are, you're kind of trying to dial in the competition or the cooperation, and that's another element of immersion. It's possible to experience all of these together, and a lot of games do have all of them together, but I guess it's a decision you have to make. If you're creating an experience in VR, it's probably good to try and dive into one of these because you know that's one of the things that consumers are looking for, but you don't have to try and hit all of these marks. It depends on the type of game you're trying to create. So just a couple of examples here. When we talk about the visceral immersion, the things that jump to my mind in VR are things like super hot. You don't necessarily know anything about the characters. It's not about a story. It's really about the action. You're basically trying to shoot things. You're trying to shoot people, trying to grab things really fast. Space Pirate Trainer, I don't know if you guys have played that, but again, it's very much like, it's very action, and it's very much like the timer is counting down, you're trying not to get hit. And another one, the Sneaky Bears roller coaster, a lot of the kind of roller coaster themed games, you're very much on the edge of your seat, you're really feeling it, you're really there, and it's kind of mentally immersing you. When there's group immersion, I guess I think of things like Rec Room and Echo Arena. There's I guess a lot of kind of competitive stuff. There's also some cooperative stuff going on there in VR as well at the moment. And with the vicarious immersion, there's just so much out there. I was trying to think of the ones that have kind of hit us in the office. There's the Apollo 11 from the Immersive VR Education guys in Waterford, which it's really it gets you into the shoes of the character. You're there. You get to actually experience it. The King of the Vikings in Waterford, also you really get to look into the Vikings' faces and experience what's going on. And one of the ones that's hit us quite hard in the office is Waves of Grace. I don't know if you guys have tried it, but one of the guys in the office says, I guess he's seen like concern ads every day. They're always on the TV. But when he saw Waves of Grace and actually looked into somebody's face and saw her actual facial expression, saw her crying, and she was standing right there in front of him, it really, I feel like it changed his life, basically. So there's the different types of immersion. Like I said, you're not trying to look for all of these in your particular experience. You can, but it's a good idea to probably dive into one or two. So when we talk to people who are talking about the experience of immersion, these are the kind of things that people have said. I have hundreds of books like these, but people say things like, "Oh, can I just play just one more level? I'll just play for another 10 minutes," and suddenly it's 4 o'clock in the morning. People say things like, "I need to like the setting," but it's not to be confused with "I'd like to live there." You might want to put yourself into a post-apocalyptic wasteland to experience it, but you don't necessarily want to live there. It helps people if they can relate to the character, if they feel like they can identify with them in some way. So some people say, if it's somebody who's very much like me, then I can really immerse in them. Sometimes with challenging games, the visceral immersion, if the game is difficult, it kind of forces you to engage and forces you to become immersed. Otherwise, you're just going to die. It's going to be game over right away. And people describe things like falling into the game and the importance of things like production value. One of my favorite quotes, I think, that any of the participants who came in, we had like 1,000 participants over the process of this. He said that to this day, when he thinks back to the game Riven, which is just a 2D computer game, he can remember how certain locations on the island of Riven smelled. So obviously they didn't smell, but he had been so deeply immersed in it that he had filled in the information with his other senses that weren't being given to him from the game. And again, I feel like VR has really untapped potential here with this kind of thing. Okay, so how do we measure it? I don't know how many people are doing user testing. That's my day in, day out. I do user testing all the time, and like I said, we've been working on the Bridge keyboard for the past 18 months, so I've been doing a lot of work in VR. The basics are try and get users in. Try not to grab people in your office, even though it's good for pilot testing, but it's good to get new people in if you can. You're going to want a mix of experience levels, so you don't necessarily want all people who are completely new to VR because they have this kind of wow effect, like, oh my god, this is amazing, they think everything is amazing, and they find it really difficult to actually kind of nitpick and find things that are bad because they haven't experienced it yet. And also, it's probably good to not just rely on friends and family. I think we all do it sometimes. It's probably the easiest thing to do, but it's good to try and get people who are not related at all, because they'll give you kind of a more fair kind of negative assessment on things. If you're doing some testing, I mean, you really want to give them a fair session. If you have a really short experience in the VR, a lot of them are quite short. In that case, you want to let them play the whole thing. If it's a longer experience, you might want to do 20-30 minutes at least, but obviously be careful about people getting sick. And then the other things are like planning. Really do plan. If you're going to do some research with users, have a pilot, know what you're going to do, and know what you need to measure. One of the things that obviously I think is really important to measure is immersion, but there's lots of other things out there, and there are lots of tools out there for you to actually go and learn how to measure them. And also, like, pro tip, don't mention sickness because it primes your users to think about sickness and they're much more likely to feel sick. Okay, so I have to put this in, I'm really sorry, it's a slide that has lots of text on it. But when you're talking about measuring immersion, I'm not going to go through all the text. There's two tools that are out there. One is the one that I created, and James mentioned, the quantitative measure, the immersive experience questionnaire. All of this stuff is available online if you're interested. But as well as that, if you want to ping me afterwards, let me know, and I'll send you out all the details. You don't need to take notes on anything, obviously. But the immersive experience questionnaire, basically you get people in, you want them to play for 20-30 minutes, and then you get them to complete this questionnaire, and it gives you a fairly good assessment. It's quite robust of the level of immersion that people experienced in that level of your experience. It's possible then to get people to come in once you've made improvements and once you've kind of dialed in the immersion that you're trying to create. And then they can take it again and it'll show you whether they're getting more immersed or less immersed. Another one that we've been using at Logitech a bit is the in-group presence questionnaire, which measures presence. Again, you probably don't need both of these, but if you're looking for presence, this is quite important as well. It was developed by the iGroup group. The website is igroup.org. And there's just a few examples of questions up there on the screen. They're fairly sizable questionnaires, but I mean, you have somebody in, they have it completed probably in about 2 minutes after a game session. So it really is worth doing, and it really lets you actually dial into the actual immersion experience and the actual presence experience in a way that you can't necessarily do if you just ask a random question about how immersed were you in the experience. So basically that's it. I don't know if I have time for questions, but if you do have any questions afterwards, come find me on Twitter or email me and I'll send you the slides and I can send you all the information about those tools.
Thanks very much, Noreen. We don't really have time for questions. We're running a bit tight, but please do grab Noreen during the break. So the next part of our night is the break. We're having food, but we're also having the demo session, and it's a chance to network. So we have a really great group of people in tonight to show us interesting equipment and demos. And what I'm going to do is ask you please to put up your hands. I'll walk around the room and give you the microphone just to take 1 minute please, just to say who you are and what you're showing us tonight. So where's our first person? Where's our first demos? Here.
Hi, so my name is Rami and I have a lot of Googlers around. So Googlers, you can put your hands up. So we're basically showing you guys Tillbrush, which is a virtual reality 3D painting application. But it's also much more because you have a Unity toolkit and you can create anything in Tillbrush, take it to Unity and then build a whole game around it. So pass by the stand and create your own world.
So we are Wardux, and we have both Sneaky Bears and Roller Coaster Legends to demo on the Oculus Rift. So come play.
Hi everybody, my name is Gareth Young and I'm here to demo the Building City Dashboards 3D model of Dublin City Centre. We've been working with a company called P3D to produce VR experience on multiple platforms. So we have with us tonight the HoloLens and the Oculus Rift, so come on over.
How you doing, folks? I'm Andy O'Sullivan from the innovation team in Liberty IT, and I'm showing off a very little demo, just an ARKit demo that we built. So kind of, it's just something small, but it's really fun. So I'll just use this sound right here if you want to try it.
Hi, I'm Rachel Flynn from UCC. I've got a smart glove interface system for VR and AR, and I can show you.
Hi all, I'm Frank. I'm from Woody German Studios, and today I'm demoing a new app that we're just going to launch, Build My Garden. So if you're interested in designing, recording what you do in a garden, and then sharing that garden in VR, drop it up.
Thanks, James. We're Utility AR. We're building tools for technicians who work in factories and with utilities to help them get their job done. I'd particularly like to talk to you if you have some sales leads for me. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, Alan here. My app's called No Place Like. It's going to help you basically design your dream house, and it's for premium augmented reality home or retailers.
Hey, I'm Devin Wolfgang. I've got just a augmented reality mini golf game created with AR Core, Google's new AR thing.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm from a company called Irish Manufacturing Research. We help enable Irish business government funded, so we introduce tech to Irish companies. And today we're demoing a prototype app we built for previewing parts before they get 3D printed, and that's going to be used in commercially within product companies.
So we're from a company called Reddit. We done an 19th demo of the new headsets we got into the office. So we have a Meta 2 augmented reality headset, the Windows mixed reality, and we've got a self-contained VR headset called the Pico Gone. What we plan to go.
Should I get everyone? That's what I think. So yeah, so look, we have a really great bunch of demos tonight, great gadgets to try, folks. So please do get to move around, try everything out. We won't be having a formal close, so I want to just thank you all for coming very much, and we'll see you all again next time. All right, take care. Bye.